Hello, everyone. My name is Hector, and I want to thank you all for joining us on our very first virtual session, Remaining Job Ready During COVID-19. We apologize for the late start. We had a little snag, but luckily we were able to get on. We are normally located at 792 Main Street. However, we've gone virtual for now. And let me tell you a little bit about the Job Connector by MIT. We want to help connect Cambridge residents with employment opportunities in the MIT and Kendall Square area. We also want to help Cambridge residents continue to develop their professional skills through virtual sessions like this one. So if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the chat, and we will try to answer the questions at the end of the presentation. But you can also call us, or you can email us as well. A copy of the video will be made available on our website. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with new content and employment opportunities. Joining us today are Ted Downing.
Everybody.
And Gennady Jean Charles.
Hello.
In today's session, we will acknowledge our current state of affairs, create an action plan, refresh job readiness skills, resumes, and cover letters, learn how to prepare for a remote interview, become familiar with resources.
So everyone's talking about it. It's at the forefront of all of our minds. We don't want to neglect to discuss the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the workforce. We want to urge you to maintain resilience, actively communicate your needs, and know the facts. Here we have listed a few statements, facts, and myths about COVID-19 pandemic and the workforce. So tell us what you think. We would like for you to choose a statement that you want us to discuss, type the number of that statement in your chat, and we will discuss them in the end of the presentation. So if you think number one is a fact or myth, let us know. All industries will be adversely impacted. In parentheses, state fact or myth. Number two, hospitality is one of the top 3 hardest hit industries. In parentheses, state whether you think that is a fact or a myth. There is cash assistance to help working families. Fact or myth? Employers are not hiring. Fact or myth? Companies will remain closed for months. Tell us if you think that's a fact or myth. So let us know which number you would like us to discuss, and in parentheses, fact or myth. Additionally, we want you to be aware of these essential services. Per the governor's recent advisory, these are the services that are still physically operating. That means there may be opportunities to actually work within one of these sectors. If you'd like to learn more about this, please feel free to get in touch with us here at the Job Connector.
So now that you have some idea about how COVID-19 is impacting the workforce, there are 2 questions you should be asking yourself. Am I job ready? And what is my plan to land a job? We are living through a time where some employees have been laid off for the first time ever, and others who have just started a new career, and now they've been told by management that they must be let go in order to make up for revenue losses. There are hundreds of scenarios, and you are not alone. So what can you do during this time? Well, let's talk about creating an action plan. If you're not planning, you're not job searching. So there are multiple action steps you can take throughout this process. But for the sake of time, we will look at 4 main action items. The first, job search prep. You want to identify weekly prospects. Tailor your resume and cover letter. Practice your interview skills. A few other suggestions in the job search process are: identify and create a professional plan for skills you want to strengthen. Make sure you research the employer before investing your time in applying. During this time, you can also identify non-contact volunteer opportunities to help you gain experience and keep your skills fresh. Remember that networking doesn't take a rest. Networking should be an ongoing opportunity. So don't hesitate to reach out and check in with your networks. Now let's move on to applying. It is widely suggested that you target 3 jobs per week. Have references ready and save your application. A few other suggestions while you are applying are keeping notes, and notes consisting of dates applied, specific questions about the application and job description, compensation, main contact, and so on. Also, keeping the web address for the organization you are applying for is key. Make sure you download a PDF copy of the job description to share with your referrals and to use for practice. So now let's talk about some best practices for the interview. Identify interview specifications, prepare interview notes, have your resume and cover letter available. A few other suggestions including are the time, the date, the location of your interview, or the virtual information for the interview. Your interview notes should consist of the company information like the mission statement and the job details. Make copies of your resume and cover letter if you are attending a physical interview. Make sure that you also have a PDF copy readily available to share through an email. As you are leaving that office or your virtual meeting, make sure that you have the correct contact information. And don't forget to be thankful and humble. Lastly, let's talk about follow-up and next steps. Send a thank you note, inquire about next steps, and ask questions you forgot to ask. Sending a thank you note is the single most forgotten step in the job search process. You should be thanking your networks, your interviewers, and everyone you've met on this journey. The follow-up will allow you to say thank you, inquire about next steps, and get a feel for their interest in your candidacy. It also allows you to ask the questions you forgot to ask under pressure. Send a thank you note within 24 to 48 hours is preferable. However, the sooner, the better. And make sure you're authentic in your thank you note. Follow up within a week if you do not hear back. But if they say they will get back to you in 2 weeks, follow up accordingly. Next, let's talk about some best practices for your cover letter and resume.
So you've laid out a plan and you're ready to go. But do you have a professional resume? Do you have a cover letter? How are your interviewing skills? It's important to have these elements in order. They essentially make up your job professional portfolio. So let's start with the resume. Here we have an example of an ineffective resume. At a glance, we can see that it's not very clear, it's not concise, and it's not visually appealing. So let's start at the top here. Here we see that there's a weird indent. It's very strange. It's okay to have indents and tab over text, but it should be consistent throughout the document. This indent here actually throws off the alignment of the document. You always want for your indents or your tabs to be visually pleasing in the resume. Next, we see that the job seeker has added an objective. An objective is something that we commonly see in a lot of older resumes. They're still being used in a lot of older templates as well. However, you want to do away with the objective. It doesn't do much to sell your skills and speak to your accomplishments. The employer understands what you're seeking because you're applying for the job. It is more beneficial to speak to what you can offer. So do away with the objective. Moving down to the experience section, it's almost impossible to find the dates within this section here. If I were to remove the box, you wouldn't really be able to find the dates. It should never be this difficult to locate the dates on a resume. It makes it difficult for the reader to understand what your dates are and how long you've worked for an organization. But also, most resumes go through an applicant tracking system. And if this is going through that system will have difficulty in just parsing out this information and pulling your dates. Next, we see here that the experience is actually written in paragraph form. Most resumes should be written in bullet form. The paragraph, again, makes it very difficult for the reader. It makes it difficult for the applicant tracking system. If a hiring manager has 100 resumes in front of them, they're going to toss this one out. They don't want to read through an essay. They want to know the quick facts. They want to know your skills right up front. So don't keep your information in paragraph form. The next two issues relate to dates as well. Here we see that the job seeker has listed their experience starting with their oldest position. They've ended with the most recent position. You always want to have your information in chronological format. So you want to start with the most recent because that is the most relevant and it speaks to your new skills. And you want to end with your oldest experience. Next, we see that the job seeker has also listed dates for education. Typically, per US standard, dates should be removed from the education section, unless you have recently completed a program and you want to speak to how that program is relevant to the job that you're applying for. Now, here is an example of a professional and effective resume. Again, at a quick glance, we can see that it's clean, it's concise, and it's chronological. This is more visually appealing. At the top, the job seeker has started with a strong summary of qualifications. They have action verbs, provided excellent customer service, collaborated on a team, demonstrated flexibility, so on and so forth. You want to be able to add those action verbs. Moving down to the experience, we see a shift. Now they have bolded their job titles. Prior to this resume, the older one, we couldn't see what the individual was doing. You had to really dig to find what their job titles were. But now it's clear this person's most recent experience was a sales lead manager. We see upward mobility. They started as a cashier and they worked their way up to be in a leadership role. So bolding certain information also helps the reader. Next, we see that the dates are now aligned to the right. Again, it helps the reader, which is typically the hiring manager, and also helps applicant tracking systems to parse out this information. It's very clear and it's easy to read. Finally, we see that the dates have been removed under the education section. Again, if they had completed a program recently, they would want to include the dates for that education. However, in the vein of being current and relevant, you want to remove the education dates. So quick resume best practices. You do not want to start with an objective. Do not blend your dates into experience, and do not list experience from old to new. You want it to be in chronological order. Keep your experience. Do not keep that experience in paragraph form, rather. You want to have bullets. And do not have random line indentation. You want your resume to look consistent. Don't leave too much extra white space. And again, try to avoid listing education dates. For best practices, you want to start with a professional summary. Do include bullets and bolding. Keep your dates clear and visible, and again, in chronological order. Add accomplishments, and numbers help. Numbers stand out in the resume. If you are applying for a business role or this person was in sales, the numbers will add a nice splash to the resume and show performance. And then again, you want to start with action verbs. Now here is an example of a cover letter. The cover letter is typically the document that tends to be neglected in the job search process. Here we give you a visual aid for what a cover letter should look like, and additionally, the components that should be within the cover letter. So at the top, you want to start with a header. We didn't review a header in the resumes, but the header for the cover letter should actually be the same as a header for the resume. So the cover letter and the resume header should match. Have the information for your addressee, and then start with a name. If you cannot find a specific name, just leave it as hiring manager or hiring personnel. Include the job title for the position and a job ID. Again, if you cannot locate a job ID, just keep the job title. For the paragraph sections of your cover letter, the intro paragraph should be a grabber. You want to start with a grabber. You don't want to start with the basic, applying for this job that I found on Indeed, et cetera, et cetera. I found this job and I'm interested because X, Y, and Z. But you want to keep the reader interested. In the midsection, this is your core for the cover letter. So this is where you'll speak to your background, how you're a fit, and why you're interested in the role in the company altogether. You want to finally close the cover letter strong. You want to be assertive, and you want to take initiative. Ask for next steps. You can also elicit for the reader to take action, give you a call to set up an interview and next steps. Sign your cover letter and enclose your resume. So quick tips for the cover letter. Again, be creative. Don't do the same common line that everyone uses. Keep it short and brief. You should have a strong conclusion, be assertive. Your core paragraph should speak to your fit. Be humble. As Hector had explained in the planning section, you want to be humble. Keep it professional. Mirror the way that the organization speaks as well. So again, if you're applying for a business role and they are very numbers driven, performance based, then you want to speak in that manner. If you're applying for a human service role, social services, you want to speak in that tone. It's all about doing your research.
All right, so now that there's a shelter-in-place advisory in the state of Massachusetts, a lot of in-person meetings and interviews are going to be moving to virtual formats, and that'll present a new set of circumstances that you'll need to prepare for. So this is a benefits and drawbacks chart of remote interviews, both virtual and phone. And so we'll start with some of the benefits. The first being a cheat sheet. So a cheat sheet is something you can make and have by you as you go through the interview with your notes that you've taken in your preparation for the interview and reference throughout, whether it's phone or video conferencing. You can also have access to a virtual mirror, and that provides you a unique opportunity to check your own body language and how you're presenting yourself to the person doing the interview, which is another thing you don't get if you're doing it in person. Another benefit is the time manner. It's much less time consuming to conduct virtual interviews. They can be done multiple times in a day and be done in different locations. So this makes it a lot more convenient for both the interviewer and the interviewee to conduct interviews. However, they're not without drawbacks. Some of those drawbacks are the possibility for distractions. When you're conducting an interview in your home or anywhere else, it's very easy for a distraction to pop up, such as a dropped internet or phone connection. This can make it very difficult for both parties to understand what the other are talking about and cause a lot of different problems in communication. Another problem is the inability to convey facial expressions if it's a phone interview. Phone interviews obviously don't allow you to look at the other person, and that eliminates the opportunity for body language to present itself. So that's another drawback. So this is just a quick checklist that we put together to help you get ready for your remote interview. The first one is, if it is a video conference, log in 5 minutes early. You don't want to log in too early or too late. You want to make sure that you're there in the right amount of time, that you're able to prepare yourself fully, but not logging in and having any awkward conversation for a long time beforehand. Another one is to make sure you're checking your internet and sound quality so that you're sure that you're able to convey yourself clearly to your interviewer. Another one just along those lines is checking your lighting and your webcam and making sure that you have your resume and notes handy. Also, although this is a different setting and you might be doing it from your home, it's important to dress professionally, as well as set up your space professionally and make sure you're in a quiet place with your notifications turned off on your phone and your computer. Make sure you're always staying within the camera frame and have a charger nearby if you're using a battery-powered device. So now for a quick review of what we've gone through, you want to start with your plan. You want to execute that plan by preparing, and then after you go through your interview, make sure you're active and following through. So once you go through your plan of action, you make sure that your goals are attainable. You prepare as you need to for those goals. Have your portfolio, your resume, cover letter, and interview skills ready and prepared at all times. And then once you've conducted the interview, make sure that you're following through. This is a long process, and you're not going to be expected to get every job you interview for. It's important to make sure that even though these are digital interviews and this is a difficult time, that it's still important to follow through with all your interviewers. And then, as Hector said earlier, make sure you're sending thank you notes to make sure that the interviewer understands how much you value this opportunity.
So going back to the facts and the myths, let's take a look to see what was requested. It looks like the audience is interested in number 4, and let's see what we have for that. Let's go to number 4. Employers are not hiring. So that's a myth. They are, in fact, hiring. And most of you might be aware of that. So based off of the essential services that we looked at in the beginning of the presentation, there are tons of opportunities out there. A lot of them are in warehouses, shipping and delivery companies, so Amazon, UPS, USPS, FedEx, ed tech, online learning companies. So as you know, the schools are out. They need teachers who can provide services online. So Nova Academy, Cengage, Khan Academy, your major grocery stores down the street, Whole Foods, Market Basket, Trader Joe's, there will be opportunities there as well. And then remote meetings and communication companies. So my team is using Zoom, Slack, Microsoft Teams. There are jobs within those companies as well. You just have to know where they are and do your research. And again, feel free to get in touch with us to talk about those opportunities. And it looks like we have a little bit of time. We can go through a few of these. And I started to go through them. So let's start with number 1. All industries will be adversely impacted. So that is actually a myth. There's opportunities for growth in the health sciences, government, of course. The unemployment office needs tons of workers right now. They've gone from 50 employees to over 300 employees, and they're still looking. There's opportunity in technology, of course, e-commerce for all the online shoppers, supply chain, where there's a demand, you also have to meet a supply. Right now, our healthcare workers are in huge need for masks and other types of materials, so we have to be able to supply that. Producers, vendors, warehouses, transportation companies, distribution centers, and retailers as well. Statement number 2, hospitality is one of the top 3 hardest hit industries. That is a fact. A report was received from STR to look at the US hotel industry, and that report showed negative results in the 3 key performance metrics for the hotel industry: occupancy, average daily rates, and revenue per available room. If you are a hospitality worker, again, please reach out, know where your resources are, get in touch with us to learn what opportunities are out there for you. Number 3, there is cash assistance to help working families. That is a fact. Again, this goes down to just doing your research. Here in the city of Cambridge, we have the Mayor's Disaster Relief Fund for COVID-19. Additionally, there's the Cambridge Community Foundation, which has released 2 funds, Cambridge COVID-19 Emergency Fund and Cambridge Artist Relief Fund for local artists and creative organizations. At the state level, there is United Way that has the COVID-19 Family Support Fund to assist working families. And of course, as we know, the COVID-19 stimulus package through the federal government. If you need assistance in trying to locate these resources, find out how to get started, we can assist you with that as well. We've gone through employers are not hiring. And the last statement, number 5, companies will remain closed for months. You can take a look at that as well. A very quick response. That is a myth. Company closures will vary. As you may know, some companies will be closed for a couple of weeks. Some companies may be closed for a few months. It really depends on the organization and whether it is essential or not. So again, do your research. And of course, stay informed.
So this is a additional resources page we've put together on our website. We've pulled together a lot of local resources and as well as resources provided by the government that can help you deal with some of the new circumstances you're facing during this time. We've got food resources, unemployment help if you need help filing or finding the links or anything like that. We've got small business assistance grants, links to those. We've got working from home help. And various other local sources. This will be continually updated on our website, which we encourage you to check out at this link here. And also to check out through social media, we'll be updating with more resources as time goes on.
All right. Ted and Janardi, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. We also want to take a chance to thank all of our friends in the community, our friends over at the Central Square Business Association. Thank you for joining us, and please don't hesitate to reach out. We are here for you. We're here to support, and you're not alone. You'll be able to find a copy of this video online on our website, but also don't forget to like us on Facebook and Twitter in order to stay in touch and stay connected. All right. Thank you so much again for joining us. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.